Now we know that this was always the plan. Obviously, you know at this point that Donald Trump has this is a part of Israel's Operation Rising Lion, allegedly. This whole thing was all a plan. And it's hard to figure out how far it goes back with Donald Trump's ultimate betrayal of the MAGA movement. I don't know how much time I have, so I might not be able to get through everything, but I just want to get through at least maybe the details of what happened and the general conversation, and we'll keep it going. But when I say I don't know how far back this goes, when did Trump meet Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know how far this goes. And we know now that we know now for sure that Trump has never been anything other than a Jew Trojan horse. We're seeing the pattern. And this pattern right now in this moment, the 98 Motorola pagers, that was a Jew Trojan horse. We saw, I don't know if they were involved with this. I'm not even alleged, but it's just funny that Ukraine did a Trojan horse on Russia. Just digressing for a second, not going to tie that to Israel because I haven't even looked into that yet. But it's interesting that we saw another Trojan horse. And how long had they had the 98 Motorola pager plan in place? And then all of a sudden, around the same time frame, about a week after Elon Musk says Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files. Wow. Did we forget that happened? You realize you can't delete the tweets, E? They're up here. I saw it. I saw you say that Trump was in the Epstein files. And I saw that nobody followed up on it. And I already had questions about Trump in the Epstein files recently. And then now we see another Jew Trojan horse in Iran with the drones popping up out of the truck. All around the same time frame. So you see what they do. They go up north with Lebanon, and I was shocked at how easy this was. I was like, I think I even said Lebanon's not going to be easy, and then I don't know what happened. They just fell apart. Hezbollah's, not that I'm rooting for them. I don't care about any of the sand people over there, but just looking at the chessboard. And so they take out Lebanon in the north. You're like, oh wow, that was easier than I thought. Okay, this axis of whatever is not as strong as we thought. Then Assad, he's gone. He ran away to Russia. So then you have Syria gone. You've got Lebanon gone. U.S. bought off Jordan, bought off Egypt. So anybody else there, they're bought off by you and me. That needs to be counted in the Jew money too, right? When we're buying off other countries, a lot of time people forget that, oh, we only gave this much money to Israel. They don't talk about the free weapons. They don't talk about the packages. They don't talk about the loan forgivenesses. And they don't talk about buying off the neighbors. Because if you didn't buy off the neighbors would hate them as well. And then now, so you've got them all kind of, they're not doing anything now, so I don't know where they're at, but they're not relevant, at least at this moment. Who knows if they could pop up at any, Lebanon or Syria. And then we do the practice run with the Houthis, who are just a bunch of, they're really, again, Iran proxies, but just a bunch of people with like sand rockets, basically. I mean, more high tech than that, but Gaza, the Hamas is really the one with the sand rockets, but literally like handmade stuff. And then now we have Trump with this strike. So we start with the Epstein moment, and now we end with this, everything coming together at the same moment. It's interesting how that works. So it turns out when Donald Trump said, I could go take a weapon, I could do something really, really bad on Fifth Avenue, and no one would know. He pointed out the camera. He said, and no one would. I forget the exact quote, but no one would care. They would still support me. And there you are, right now, proving everything correct. Do you stand with not Israel, Jeb Israel Trumpenstein. Do you stand with him now? Understand what that means. Jeff Smith said, "Thanks for your opinion. I just unsubscribed. I appreciate the opportunity, Jeff Smith." Here's what happened. Trump's entry into Israel's war, which I think we don't know when that started. I didn't even talk about the coordination with their Pearl Harbor-esque attack on Iran, where Trump knew what was going on, was just playing the fool to kind of keep Iran somewhat unguarded, which is just all weird. How could Iran not know this? But so what happened is it all started June 13th with Israel launching this Operation Rising Lion. As you know now, we're going to get up to yesterday or this morning over, well, I don't know what time it is over there, but it was like at 4 something their time, 4 a.m. That same week, Marco Rubio said it had nothing to do with the US. That's a lie. So what we know, what we kind of feel right now, and we've felt it for quite some time, is you don't need to talk about, well, does Congress have to okay war? Because if you are not going to impeach a president, there's no other option. There's nothing here. So I I obviously I agree that Congress has to approve war. Now, what does that mean? That it could mean a lot of things. But Congress right now could say, "Hey, we understand you wanted to do an attack. Obviously, I don't agree with it. Just hypothetical. If you wanted to do attack, okay, great. You did that attack. Now you need to declare war now, like after the fact. You could do that now. Congress could. I'll have to look that up. I thought Congress could take a secret vote too, but forget about that. You could do. Trump did the attack. Congress could vote and say, let's declare a formal war. Of course, they're not going to do that, but you could now. And people who are supporting Trump aren't arguing for that. So they don't care about the vote. They're saying you don't have to vote for war. Trump has to have the ability to strike when he needs. Well, that doesn't explain why you wouldn't push to vote for it now. If Iran's such a threat, such a danger, tried to unlive the president, all that. That's what Tucker was trying to get at the interview. He was like, well, he didn't mean it really, you numbskulls. He was saying people thought he meant literally that America should nuke Iran. His point was, if you really believe that Iran was trying to unlive Trump, then why do we even need to get in? Why is Israel even involved? Just us and them have beef is what he was saying. And he didn't really mean that. He tried to press Ted Cruz to get into the position. But if you truly believe that, you would say it is that important. We want it on the record. Quick resolution, we declare war. That's not happening right now. So something else is happening. So that same week, Trump said that there was still substantial chance of a peaceful deal. While he was saying that, Israeli officials were already asking for the U.S. assistance in hitting, however you pronounce this, Fordo, I think Fordo is how people pronounce it. So the whole thing is a game. They're very smart. If you come to me and I talk about race realism more than ever now, but I have been talking about it recently. And part of that to me is, however you define ethnically a Jew, I just, from my observation, anecdotally, these are really smart people. I mean, really, I'm just saying, I think, I'm not going to bring up any stats right now. Just my natural survival instincts say they're very smart people, extremely smart people. And if you come to me, and I'm not even joking about this, if you come to me and you talk about how they're not smart, then we're going to have a contentious conversation. It despises me to see somebody underestimate somebody that could be their foe or enemy. That doesn't mean all, of course. I hate having to qualify that, but they are very high IQ. Are they low morals? Absolutely. That's a whole different conversation. But we are not dealing with stupid people. We are dealing with highly sophisticated, I think, DNA wise, genetically wise, just wired to be amazing spies, subversiveness, manipulative, controlling. You just got tricked. I got tricked. The quicker that we realize that, the quicker we can figure it out. So on June 18th, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, warned that the U.S. intervention would cause irreparable damage. I said that yesterday. I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear anything from you. If you need to do something, do it. I don't need to hear anything from Trump, or it includes Trump. I'm talking about Iran, Russia, all that. Just do what you need to do. China doesn't do all this. When you have real power, you don't do all that. There's no need for that. So it brings us to June 21st. Trump met with advisors in the White House Situation Room. They released some, just the pictures were not impressive, but just to make them look like they were concerned or whatever. What is that? I guess any information is good information, but it doesn't provide much for me. They obviously at this point greenlit a full force strategic airstrike with zero congressional approval. We just talked about the ins and outs of that, just a high level. This was after pretending diplomacy was still on the table. Now, for that part of it, Trump did say you have, I think it was by the end of May or something like that. So we're past the initial deadline. Not that I want airstrikes, but even if Trump says there's still diplomacy, we're past the deadline. The strikes were called Operation Midnight Hammer. They were weeks in planning, B-2 bombers, stealth refueling. We covered some of that. Tomahawk volleys, decoys, radar suppression. It was not a rush job. It was staged. It was planned. It was staged to the point almost where it looked like Iran knew it was coming. I don't know that for sure because the fog of war, people are lying and putting out fake videos, but it's possible that Iran predicted it or knew and moved stuff out. It looked like we saw trucks coming out of there before. What's up, Christian? Appreciate you. Still with you, man. I appreciate you, Christian. Great friend of the show. Friday the 13th. Yeah, you're right. It was Friday the 13th. That's true. That's true. Sorry. Officer says the Chinese are deeply involved in Iran and consider Iran a prominent piece of their Belt and Road Initiative. Yes. China does look at them. Let's be clear on how the Chinese look at people. They look at them like chess pieces. They look at them as whatever derogatory term you want to call them, towels, whatever. But yeah, they work with them. And yeah. Mike Has Bad Knees comes in, always great comments, says, I think the planning went back possibly a few years. So there's stages of the planning. Is it fair to say that the planning goes back potentially to Epstein, potentially to Trump coming down the escalator? At the very least, Nick Fuentes, I wasn't aware of this. I got this from Nick. I haven't looked into it, but he was talking about the Nikki Haley stuff when Nikki Haley dropped out. And I guess Nikki Haley's good friends with Miriam Adelson, and there was some type of deal made there. I had never even heard of that. But could go to a moment like that. I don't know. But it looks like Trump was chosen. It makes you wonder, did the bullet really graze him? I never fully, I'm going to go with that story, but I do not 100% believe that necessarily. Of course, somebody got on live, so there was a bullet. But it just makes me wonder who was it a warning shot? Who did it? Was it Iran? Who said Iran did it? Was it Israel that said Iran did it? That's interesting if they did. What would that mean? Who was behind all the lawfare? Obviously, the unconstitutional. I don't have any proof of this, but I'm just wondering if there's a suspect that I could go to that doesn't care about the Constitution of America, doesn't care about Americans, doesn't care about goys, that would help leverage unconstitutional lawfare against a man that they needed to be a Trojan horse so that he would make any type of deal to get out of it because he potentially could have gone to jail because he had to win the election, right? I don't know. If there's any suspects, let me know. So America wanted to do this strike in part because I don't know the full everything behind it, but in part because you don't put boots on the ground. That's when people start getting really afraid. So he'd used American aircraft and bombs, no boots on the ground right now. And we can't independently confirm what happened. He could have hit the side of the mountain where there's nothing at all, and I would never know. You would never know. It could be just complete fake stuff that we're seeing. So it's pretty convenient. But the crazy part is what could that start? Couldn't that start problems? You go back to, everything, you really have to go back to the original um, deal with Iran. So Trump comes in, rips up Obama's Iran deal because he called it weak. And in 2025, now we have a bomb there. And we know that neocons have always wanted bombs over not Baghdad, but bombs over Tehran. Maybe Outkast should redo the song. So they always want to keep you feeling safe. It's a limited operation. It's just a bomb. It's just a plane dropping a bomb. It's not full war. So they want to try to limit kind of their resources is what it looks like. Not just the nukes, but they want to kind of limit Iran in that way. So some of the details of the strike here, I have a ton of details on the key events. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I guess the strikes. It says 2 a.m. I don't know what time zone. This is ABC News. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers dropped the first massive ordnance penetrator bombs on Iranian nuclear sites. Nearly simultaneously, a U.S. Navy submarine launches a volley of Tomahawk cruise missiles at surface targets in the Esfahan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, nuclear complex. Iran's air defenses were caught by surprise, they say allegedly. No Iranian fighters or surface to air missiles engaged the strike package. 3 targets are hit in total. This is according to Al Jazeera. I have all of the major outlets here. The Ferdo uranium enrichment bunker near Qom, the enrichment facility and the nuclear site in Esfahan. Massive explosions rock each site in the darkness. Iranian officials later report explosions at the facilities, but initially no signs of radioactive contamination. They insist the attacks won't stop Iran's nuclear work. As news of the strikes emerge, Iran retaliates by firing a large salvo of missiles at Israel. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, MAGA and Trump, your idea to stop Iran from getting nukes is to bomb Iran. Do I have that correct? So it'd be like saying, you're worried about me exercising my 2A right to keep him bare, but you're going to do that by attacking me. So would that make me more into exercising my right or less? So this doesn't look like the end of it, guys. Because if you're believing these people that you trust, if you're trusting, if you're not trusting, you follow me. If you take them at face value, Trump says, I can't let Iran, I like Iran from having a nuclear weapon. So I have to bomb Iran so they don't want a nuclear weapon. So if you're taking them at face value and the bombs pretty much, the same people are in charge, don't you have to follow that through to regime change? Otherwise, they're just going to revamp up efforts to get a bomb. I don't, if you're taking them at face value. Micah has bad knees says, I think it was a warning shot. So we have to, if you look at it from the attack, which it makes more sense than what they're telling us it is, that's not good because a warning shot doesn't do anything. I mean, what does a warning shot do? That's not good because Iran can do whatever they want in retaliation. And I didn't look at China's statement. I just saw a quick thing. Let me see if I have any info on China's statement. Do I have anything on China's statement? Okay, China condemned the US strikes, calling them a serious violation of international law that further inflames tensions. The Chinese Foreign Ministry urged all parties, especially Israel, to implement an immediate ceasefire and resume dialogue. So we're acting like children, and daddy has to come in the room and say, stop playing around. That's daddy China. So Tim Walz was absolutely correct. China has been trying to position itself as a peacemaker in the Middle East. The most powerful one would be the peacemaker. It brokered a Saudi Iran deal in 2023. It heavily relies on Gulf oil. Beijing's statement that it's willing to work with the international community to uphold justice and help restore peace and stability hints that China might attempt some diplomatic initiative or UN action, though its actual leverage on Iran or US is limited. This is via the AP News. Importantly, China is framing the conflict in a way that puts blame on the US and Israel, especially Israel. They were singled out while avoiding endorsing Iran's nuclear ambitions. It's a careful line, support Iran's sovereignty and condemn US aggression, but also call for no nukes and stability. Did they call for no nukes? That's all I have on the China piece, I believe. So I'll have to do a separate deep on that. Have they commented on Iran's nukes? Yeah, I don't know. But that's it, it's China basically to me saying we do have Iran's back in a very soft way and in a very an adult way. I think that's clear there to me. So let's look at, well, I went to the, let me just go back to some of the story of what happened. So Iran did fire at Israel, sirens sound across most of Israel and dozens of ballistic missiles. They went to Tel Aviv. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary, this is the IRGC, their Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They claim 40 missiles were launched at Israel overnight. Several missiles hit Tel Aviv metro area, wounding at least 16 people and destroying parts of a building in the commercial hub of Tel Aviv. Millions of Israelis huddle in bomb shelters as Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow defenses intercept many incoming rockets. Notably, Iran still refrains from attacking U.S. bases or closing the Strait of Hormuz at this state. So we don't know what's going to happen. They might not do anything. I don't know. I wouldn't expect that, but this is a tough one, especially since the borders have been open and everybody knows this whole moment was coming for quite some time. Who knows who's in this country now? And it's a fact that Donald Trump put the lives of Americans at risk. And are you clear for what? Do you know what it's for? If you agree with it, that's fine. That's based 100% on trust of Donald Trump. And I read a report that he's been walled off, and Susie Wiles has walled him off, and he's got basically CIA people feeding him all the information. CIA shares about 80%, if you believe. I forgot the name of the guy. I was listening to the War Room, Steve Bannon, yesterday. They were doing a great coverage. I hadn't listened to Steve Bannon in a long time. He's still cautious with his concerns, but he's against this in a way, not as strong as I am, but he's against it enough to the point where he's authentic. You can listen to him. I can't listen to people like Dave Rubin and whatever others right now. They're just too fake. It's not about agreeing with me. It's just about being real. But they had a good show. I forgot the Axios reporter name, but he did a great job breaking it down. He said he thinks about 80% of the intelligence is shared between Israel and America. And the part he didn't get into is are we getting it from Israel? That would be a hell of a thing. President Trump addressed the United States last night. I saw that watching Nick. Nick was on fire. Nick had, for last I saw, over 400,000 views on his Rumble stream. Ben Shapiro had 200,000. I mean, what does that mean? I don't know, but it is noteworthy. Looking at it today, Pete Hegseth and uh, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, briefed on the operation. Hegseth confirms the strike devastated and obliterated Iran's nuclear program in an operation he called bold and brilliant. That's very vague. I don't know what that means. You could do an attack on somebody and maybe damage the front steps to the front porch and say it was devastating and you obliterated their entryway to the home, but what did you really do? I mean, it's just vague. He emphasizes this mission was not about regime change. So if it's not about regime change, it's just maybe a delay. You're risking American lives. If you believe what they're saying, Iran doesn't have a nuke, so you're risking American lives to delay it because they can still work on a nuke program, start it over again. I don't know where they're at, but they're claiming it to be an overwhelming success. I'm seeing conflicting reports on that, but for this, I'm going to go with what they call trusted sources. That's ABC News. I am hearing from other sources that they did almost absolutely nothing. Maybe close some entryways, and that Iran got stuff out or whatever. We saw a truck leave out of there before, like on Juneteenth, actually. Iran's leadership said that it's a grave violation of the UN Charter and international law. They vow that Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interests, and people. And they called it a heinous illegal use of force. So we're still seeing skirmishes and other stuff. The strikes focused on this Furdo, and how do you pronounce it? I've heard people talking about it. I don't even remember how to pronounce it. Natanz and Esfahan is basically what they were targeting. I'll give you. This deep research stuff. The breakdown is just insane. So I'll give you that breakdown if you want to look at the full breakdown. It's just ChatGPT deep research is insane. Cyan, what's up? How you doing? Mike has bad knees says, not to mention putting troops into Israel, so now they're in the line of fire. I did not hear that. I'm not surprised though to hear that. The ethnic group is ruining the US and ruining the world. Maybe I should switch. Thank you, CHX. CHSX37 looking out for the channel says maybe don't use the word Jew, the ethnic group, or I don't know, could I say crooked noses? Is that too bad? Or the gremlins, goblins, what I don't know what to use. I think that's what the US gets out of the deal, slows oil supply from Iran. That's what I hinted at. Mike has bad knees, picks up on everything. Iran, because I didn't even explain it to China. Why else would Israel have airstrikes on oil fields if the goal is to here to get rid of weapons capacity? I agree completely. Red Illusion says they don't need, that kind of goes with Red Index Red. Red Illusion says they don't even need to manufacture consent anymore. No, they don't. That's crazy, isn't it? We're beyond that. The small country with the funny hats. Yeah. Darth Vader says goblins. Why would you be talking about goblins, Darth Vader? Who are you talking about there? No, don't answer that. Don't answer. So that's where we're at with that. I put the whole detail in there. It's just the breakdown is just so. I mean, basically, the deep research takes all the articles and breaks down like all the. It's just. I mean, I can't even. I don't even go to websites, and you can just listen to it. I could be mowing the lawn and listen to it, read the whole thing. It's just unbelievable. I guess I'm gonna try to end on just. I mean, this is obviously a betrayal. Maybe I'll talk about that, but I kind of want to end on like why should we care? Because I'm like, if you're just going to work and you're like, what's the impact of this? Why should I care about this? Why should your normal person even talk about this or care? Well, you could say that from the beginning if you supported Trump or you follow politics or if you even vote. You vote at any level, federal level especially, why would you care? Um, there's many consequences you can talk about economic. I think that's one of the cornier ones with oil prices going up. Okay, yeah, that matters. You got to buy oil, if you're driving and everything. Consumer cost matters. That's I don't call that inflation. That's basically price index. The cost of certain things going up is not necessarily inflation. But I think from a fundamental standpoint, it means I've talked about this before. It means that your representative republic and your constitution don't mean anything. So why are we living under this representative republic with a constitution that's just basically bought out? Donald Trump is bought out, literally bought out by this ethnic group that wears tiny hats, and they don't have to. It's not just him, but they don't have to justify anything. They don't even have to manufacture consent anymore for you. Is Noam Chomsky still alive? I think he is, but your Congress doesn't represent you anymore. The best they could do is a Thomas Massey resolution. Do you guys realize that a resolution means absolutely nothing? It's just a waste of time, and they couldn't even get that through. So it begs the question: what is the Constitution? What is the purpose of it? I mean, it serves absolutely no purpose to me at all from a fundamental standpoint. First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment. It's done. It's over. It's null and void. This is one of the most basic tenets. So that means you don't have constitutional protections. That means I'm not really big on waving the flag at this point. What does the flag mean? So we have to take control back if from the congressional level, the House level first. We talked about the physical threat. I mean, I don't know how big or small that is, but I'm not really excited to go around crowds right now. Are you? So not only that, the lives of servicemen and women, American citizens all over the world, put at risk, and it appears to be on behalf of another country. And if that is what Trump is willing to do, what else is he willing to do on behalf of another country or on behalf of whatever interest that means more than your safety? What did this movement start on? Basically, started on a rebuke against Obama, a rebuke against the Iraq War, which Obama did not vote for. But it was a rebuke against Jeb Bush, who was supposed to actually be the front runner. Now Jeb Bush is happy with everything. Meghan McCain is happy with what's happening. It was supposed to be draining the swamp. It was supposed to be lock her up. It was supposed to be power back to the people. And then I eventually explained it too as a big picture. I viewed MAGA when you put all those things together. Trump was supposed to be the figuratively speaking, the Molotov cocktail that would be in DC to shake things up. Does this feel like that to you? I put it in words of redistributing power from centralized forces to as many people as possible is how I viewed the populist movement. And that's not what this is. Yeah, there were signs. Trump said Iran can't have nukes. That was a warning sign, but nobody's perfect. People even touted, I did as well. Trump started no new wars. Where are we at with that now? So if you trust Trump, how do you reconcile that? I don't understand how you trust him. Obviously, any politician is not to be trusted. So I think it's a dangerous precedent, and really it represents the end of the country as we know it to me. If Trump is the Trojan horse, I don't know who else you trust or anything like that. I mean, it means that anything, basically, any dystopian warning that people have had could come true. And I don't know where we go from here. But as you can see with the America First movement, as Trump goes this route, there's an equal and opposite backlash that's shifting, and it's bubbling up, but it's all in alt kind of media. Rumble's not alt, but it's not mainstream. It's not any. Hmm, my camera went out. What was that? It's not any mainstream, but I'm out anyway. But wonder